to a frazzled dad review of a board game, this time with the disclosure on the front of it. I don't get paid for doing my reviews, but sometimes I get sent review copies, and Flying Frog Productions have done exactly that with a copy of a game I will get to in a moment. The game itself is about creatures invading our planet from another world. Creatures like this. Not really. In true Mars Attacks style, it's about Martians with hideous faces and bucket helmets coming down to attack a circus, only defended by the most unlikely of heroes, the circus freaks and carnies themselves. So as I say, this game was provided for me free of charge to review. I'm not going to be pulling any punches. Let us appraise the invasion from outer space. Invasion from Outer Space is the weird cousin of Last Night on Earth, using the same game engine, but instead of zombies you've got Martians, and instead of the small town and the small town peoples you have the circus and the carnival folk themselves. And I've covered the components in another article, so I'm not going to dwell on those too much. Suffice it to say though, they are up to the normal Flying Frog standard, i.e. excellent, and very glossy and very solid and very evocative. They really do bring out the theme, the story, and most importantly the characters. By assembling a cast and taking photos, Flying Frog really give them actually a personality and give you a reason to care about them. They're not just a picture that some artist has sketched up, they're actually real people with real ridiculous moustaches and real strange beards. It just works, you know, it gives you investment, and it's a good thing really, because this game succeeds enormously on theme. Everything about it really comes to life and really grabs you, and it's a joy to play because of that. It's very entertaining, it's very fun, lots of stories are generated. And like I say, that's kind of a good thing, because mechanically the game is a bit of a throwback. Everything is a D6 roll. Everything. Now this is going to put a lot of people off, and understandably so, because you roll to see if you move and how far, you roll to see if you get a power token, you roll to attack, you roll to defend, you roll for new Martians, you roll for how many, you roll when crowds move and fires start, and there's so much going on. There's 2 extra phases of bookkeeping and just dice rolling constantly, trying to get a 4, 5 or 6, a 5 or a 6, and it's on and on and on and on. If you don't like dice rolling, you will not like this game at all. The good news is, I do. Invasion from Outer Space is a funny one because it's kind of like a heavy beer and pretzels game. You know, it sits on the far end of the scale of beer and pretzels, lightweight dice rolling, moving about stuff, because it is quite involved. There's a lot of stuff you have to bear in mind. There are a lot of mechanics going off and interacting. The one thing I will say is it's a massive improvement on Last Night on Earth, which is heresy for some. But that's because the Martians have more to do. You've got a control panel, a bit like the Board of Destiny from Claustrophobia, where you assign points to move the spawn points, launch extra Martians into the fray, summon the champion and the Zard beast. You've got extra monsters you can put in by paying a cost over a number of turns. In your cards you've got tech that you can research, and you research it face down and keep it secret from the heroes until BAM! You hit them with the death ray and they had no idea that was coming. And it's great. Being the Martian player is fun. You get to cackle to yourself as you're sort of hatching your plans, and it feels like you're a lot more involved. There's a lot more tactics on the board as well. You've got to have your Martians in packs, and when you have a pack of 3 Martians they become more powerful. You've got to think about adjacency, because your ray guns will fire adjacent, so you've got to create crossfires. The Martian player is way better than the zombie player, just hugely improved, and the scenarios are improved as well. There's less search through the deck for a particular card. They're very thematic, as you might expect. You've got to blow up spaceships or stop the crowd from being abducted, and you know, it really sort of rolls along really nicely, with everything sort of really generating some wonderful moments that you'll be talking about for probably years afterwards. This is something that Flying Frog are very good at. Now on the hero side of things, it's not as good, to be honest. I mean, the heroes get special abilities which they use power tokens for, but power tokens are generated on a 5 or 6. You might spend the whole game and not get another one. You start with 1, you may never get a second. And that's kind of annoying, because the abilities are cool. The human cannonball is able to launch himself out of a circus cannon and crash down and flatten Martians. I mean, that's hilarious. I love that. It's just, he is like a human projectile, and that's just so much fun. But if he never gets a power token, that will never happen. There are some cards in the deck that will help you get them, but that involves searching, and searching means being indoors, and you kind of want to be on the move a lot, really. I don't know, the heroes don't feel as fully developed as the Martian player does over the zombie player from the previous game. And some of the missions, while they are hugely thematic, they can run on a bit. I mean, some of them they feel like they're about 5 turns too long, and after a while you're starting to go, yeah, all right, we've had about as much as we want of this. It doesn't outstay as welcome all the time, but sometimes you do feel like, okay, I've been through this procedure enough times, I've rolled the dice enough times, I'm pretty much happy with what I've got to, and it's not a filler game, it's quite a long game, so you can feel a bit burned out on it, I reckon. But it does deliver bucket loads of fun. I mean, it's not exactly a clever game, and like I say, mechanically it's a bit old-fashioned. It almost feels like old-style 40k, where it's roll to attack, roll to save, and the movement on the board, I mean, it contains roll and move, and it contains miss a turn. These are like the 2 cardinal sins of game design. I guess it speaks volumes for how well Flying Frog do theme, involvement, immersion in the story, and entertainment value and actual fun that they can get away with using such crappy mechanics as those two. Bad. But I can't hate this game, though. It's like Arkham Horror. It may just be mostly move, roll dice, roll dice, roll dice. I can't dislike it. It's just too much fun. It is definitely better than Last Night on Earth, which is quite a big thing. It does contain some elements that can be retrofitted, like the fire, which is actually pretty cool. The games are compatible, and you can even make Martians versus zombies versus humans, and have these apocalyptic scenarios. So if you own Last Night on Earth, this isn't just this isn't a replacement game as much as a game and expansion that can take it to new heights. I think when all's said and done with Invasion from Outer Space, it's down to what you want out of it. If you want something that's more of a tactical miniatures game, this isn't really it. If you want something that is a co-op versus one that's more akin to, say, a dungeon crawl, we have a party, it's not really it. Although there is a hell of a lot more cooperation in this game than it seems. A lot of several of the powers of the heroes involve being near to or adjacent to other characters. There is a big slant against the heroes. It's not impossible, but the Martians will win easily, more than the heroes would. The heroes need to learn more, because they need to learn the working together, and the Martians kind of don't. It's just Martians just like pummel, 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 and that's great, but it's easier to pick up. I don't know if it's necessarily heinously imbalanced or even broken. I think it's more just harder for the heroes to learn that they are not indestructible. So yeah, like I say, what is it? What it is if board games are food, right? Some games are a big, satisfying meal that's well prepared and fills up your brain with something to chew on, right? Some games are big, filthy pizzas, and this is one of those. Get some beer, get some friends who don't mind if they win or lose and just want to have a laugh. Don't play this with people who are analysing everything and think that there's a particularly sensible strategy that will win every time, because they're wrong. It's a game where you have some fun and you stick some calories in your brain and you have beer and pretzels, as long as you've got a good amount of time to play it. So, Invasion from Outer Space. Is it good or not? The answer is yes if you're wanting something fun, and no if you're wanting something that's mechanically intriguing. That's about it, I would say. So thank you very much to Flying Frog Productions for sending me a copy. I hope I've done it justice, and I'll see you on the other side. Watch the skies.